Declan and I had what everyone called a perfect marriage. We met in college, fell in love over late-night study sessions and cheap coffee, and built a life together that seemed idyllic from the outside. He was a successful architect, I was a graphic designer, and our beautiful home was filled with laughter and love. Or so I thought. The first crack in our perfect facade appeared on a Tuesday. It was our anniversary, and I planned a surprise dinner at our favorite restaurant. Declan called late, his voice strained, saying he was stuck at work, a last-minute deadline he couldn't get out of. I was disappointed, but I understood. His job was demanding. I ate alone, saved his portion, and told myself it was just one missed dinner. But then it started happening more frequently. Late nights at the office, weekend business trips that popped up out of nowhere. The excuses were always plausible, but a tiny seed of doubt had been planted. It started to grow when I found a receipt in his coat pocket. It was from a fancy jewelry store for a delicate gold necklace I had never seen. When I asked him about it, he just laughed it off, saying it was a corporate gift for a client. The explanation felt hollow, but I pushed my suspicions away. I wanted to believe him. I loved him. The real turning point came a few weeks later. I was cleaning out his car and found a single long blonde hair on the passenger seat. My hair is dark brown. My heart hammered against my ribs. It could be anything, I told myself. A colleague he gave a ride to, a client. But the excuses were wearing thin, and the knot of anxiety in my stomach was tightening. I couldn't ignore it anymore. That night, I decided to do something I never thought I would. I checked his phone. My hands were shaking as I keyed in his passcode, which was ironically our anniversary date. My breath caught in my throat as I opened his messages. There they were. The messages were filled with flirty banter, inside jokes, and plans for secret meets. Can't wait to see you tonight, one read. Last night was amazing, said another. My world tilted on his axis. The man I had shared my life, my dreams, and my heart with was living a double life. Ilara, the name echoed in my mind. A quick search on social media confirmed my worst fears. She was a young blonde intern at his firm. Pictures of them at a work conference I didn't know about were plastered all over her page. They looked so happy, so carefree. It was a punch to the gut. All the late nights, the sudden trips, it all clicked into place. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. I wanted to scream, to throw his phone against the wall, to confront him right then and there. But a cold, calculating calm settled over me instead. A raw, primal need for something more than just a messy confrontation took hold. He wasn't going to get away with this so easily. No, I wasn't going to just be the weeping wife. I was going to be the director of his downfall. My first step was to gather undeniable proof. I didn't want a he said, she said situation. I wanted cold, hard facts that he couldn't possibly deny or wriggle out of. I installed a small, discreet GPS tracker on his car and linked it to an app on a burner phone I bought. I started monitoring his movements. The late nights at the office were often trips to a cozy little wine bar across town. The weekend business trips were getaways to quaint bed and breakfast in the countryside. Each pin from the GPS was another nail in the coffin of our marriage. Next, I set up a hidden camera in our living room, disguised as a digital photo frame. I positioned it perfectly to capture the front door and the main seating area. I also put a voice-activated recorder in his car, tucked away under the passenger seat. It felt like I was starring in my own spy movie, but the adrenaline and a strange sense of empowerment kept me going. The evidence I collected was devastating. I listened to hours of recordings of Declan and Ilara laughing, whispering sweet nothings, and planning their future. A future that didn't include me. I watched footage of him bringing her to our home, our sacred space, while I was out visiting my parents one weekend. She sat on our sofa, drank from my favorite mug, and looked at our wedding photos with a smirk. The rage that burned inside me was unlike anything I had ever felt. It wasn't just sadness anymore, it was a fire. I meticulously saved every photo, every video, every audio file to a secure cloud drive. I was building my case, piece by piece. The final piece of my plan was the most audacious. Declan and I had a significant joint savings account, money we had been putting away for years to build our dream house. I found out from a friend who worked in finance that I could legally withdraw my half without his signature, so I did. I consulted a lawyer, quietly and discreetly, and drew up divorce papers. I also contacted a real estate agent and put our house on the market. Declan was completely oblivious, wrapped up in his secret world with Elara. He was so confident in his deception that he didn't notice a thing. He didn't notice the new, slightly colder tone in my voice, or the way I no longer waited up for him. He was too busy living his lie. The day I chose for the big reveal was his birthday. I had spent weeks planning. I told him I was throwing him a huge surprise party at our house, inviting all our friends, family, and even his most important colleagues from work. He was thrilled, picturing himself as the center of attention, the successful man with the perfect life and doting wife. Little did he know, the only surprise was going to be for him. The night of the party arrived. Our house was filled with people, music was playing, and champagne was flowing. Declan was in his element, laughing, shaking hands, soaking up the adoration. He kept pulling me close, whispering how much he loved me, how perfect everything was. The hypocrisy was sickening. I played my part, smiling sweetly, the perfect hostess. As the evening reached its peak, I gathered everyone in the living room for a toast. I stood in front of our large-screen TV, a microphone in my hand. Declan stood beside me, beaming, his arm wrapped around my waist. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate my wonderful husband, Declan," I began, my voice clear and steady. The crowd cheered. Declan is a man of many talents and many secrets. I saw a flicker of confusion in his eyes. I clicked a remote to my hand, and the TV screen, which had been showing a slideshow of happy family photos, flickered to life. The first image was a screenshot of his text with Elara. A collective gasp went through the room. Declan's smile vanished. His face went pale. Before he could react, the screen changed to a photo of him and Elara kissing at that wine bar, time-stamped by the GPS. Then came a clip from the hidden camera. Elara in our living room, laughing as she looked at our wedding album. The room fell into a dead silence, broken only by the sound of Declan's recorded voice from the car's audio recorder, telling Elara he was planning on leaving me after his next big project closed. He tried to grab the remote, but I stepped away. "For your final birthday present, darling," I said, my voice dripping with ice, "I have a few things for you." I handed him an envelope. He tore it open with trembling hands. Inside were the divorce papers. "Our house is sold," I said calmly. "The closing was this afternoon. And my half of our savings is in a new account under my name only. Your things are packed in the garage." Declan stared at me, his face a mask of disbelief and horror. His colleagues were staring, our friends were whispering, and his parents looked like they were about to faint. The perfect life he had built, funded by our shared dreams, had just imploded in front of everyone he wanted to impress. I looked him dead in the eye. "Happy birthday, Declan. I hope it was worth it." Then I turned, walked through the silent, shocked crowd, and out the front door without looking back. I didn't cry, I felt free. The life he had shattered was one I no longer wanted anyway. I was stepping into a new one, a life of my own making, built on truth and self-respect. And that was the best gift I could have ever given myself. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, know that you are strong and you deserve better. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.